Okay, students, welcome back to another Star Tutors live stream. I am Chase. If you haven't been with us before, then welcome. I'm Chase. I'll be leading you through this real-time testing video today. If you have been with us before, great. Welcome back. Hopefully you guys are hanging in there as you prepare for the SAT. For those that are watching the live stream, you have access to the live chat. If you've subscribed to the channel, you should have access to the live chat on the right-hand side. Go ahead and give me a hello or a thumbs up. I see some of you guys have already done that. But hello, thumbs up in the live chat if you're watching live. If you're watching the recorded version of this, that's not a problem either. All of our videos are always posted immediately after the live streams. All of the videos will be posted on the channel. So you can always go back and rewatch this. If you are watching the recorded version, please make sure that at any point you have a question, you know that you can pause it and comment in the comment section below with your questions. One of our teachers or tutors will then come back and answer that question at some point. So please make sure that you guys do that. But then for any students that are obviously interested in the live streams going forward, it allows for you to ask some real-time questions. So I'll try to answer those questions while we go through this. If you haven't already checked out the two videos that we did for reading and for writing and language, please do that. You can see those in the playlist, the video playlist below in the video description. If you have not already downloaded Star U, our tutoring app, it's very, very helpful for things like this. It's free to download, so please download Star U and register. You can see that's the pinned comment that we have up at the top of the live chat right now. It's also in the description below. And we will be doing, there'll be more live streams before the 27th. We're still trying to figure out the dates and the schedules for that, hat trick. So yeah, look out for those. Still rocking. What's up? What's going on? Hey guys. Hello to everybody that's joining us on the live stream. But again, download Star U. If you haven't already subscribed, it's obviously free to subscribe. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Help us spread the word. We can certainly do more live streams with more as we get more subscribers. So please make sure that you guys are helping us spread the word, and that will allow us to do some more live streams. So, and then finally, if you guys are interested in some more premium content, just more content on the channel, you can join our membership program. That's $3 a month. I think it's well worth it, and it just gives you access to more live streams, more videos. If you're interested in joining the membership program, you can click join. And again, that kind of stuff helps support the channel. Anything like that allows us to make more of these, because otherwise we have to turn our attention to other things that help. But again, we want to make as many of these as possible. So if you want to help support the channel, if you're interested in more premium content, you can click that join button. $3 a month. I think it's well worth it, but it's up to you guys. So with that in mind, today we're going to be doing the May 2022 SAT US section number 3 section 3. It's the math no calculator section. So make sure that you guys are looking out for that. Hopefully, if you just search, guys, we had a couple questions. If you search the May 2022 SAT exam just on Google, you should be able to find it. We're not allowed to post the actual test form in the comments below for copyright reasons, but you should be able to find this test form if you just search Google May 2022 SAT, and with a little bit of searching, it shouldn't be too hard. All right, guys, so one more time, if you are watching live, thumbs up either in the comments section, 2 thumbs up if you're in the live chat and you're in the comments section, and I'm going to be asking questions. If you do not want to comment, or do not want to chat, just give us a thumbs up below the video if you're ready to go. And we will get started. Guys, so any questions about an ACT live stream? We have plenty of ACT videos on the channel. If you click the channel and then you click the playlists, our playlist, you'll see all of our real-time ACT videos. We're going to do more ACT videos after the August SAT is over. So next week is the end of the August SAT, and then we'll turn our attention to ACT. But for right now, we're focusing on SAT, and hopefully that's all good. So good question for any ACT test takers out there. That's common response there. All right, so again, no calc, section 3, there's going to be 25 minutes on the clock, which is the standard time. As we go through it, I'll try to walk you guys through my thinking and why I'm doing things, why I'm answering questions the way that I am. The no calc section is all about Algebra 2 knowledge, so make sure that you guys are pretty set on that. And Jasmine, welcome. Thanks, guys. Welcome. Welcome to everybody in the live chat. 25 minutes on the clock for the no calc section, and our time starts now. All right, so for those that have been with us for the math live streams before, you guys will know that it's my feeling that I don't want to get caught up. I don't want to have to overthink any questions you're starting by. When you take this for real, don't forget that right before you start this, you're going to be done the reading section and the writing and language section, and now all of a sudden you have to jump into math with no warm up. Okay, for example, number one is not a good question to start with. The chances of making a simple mistake. Do I think that most of you can answer that question? Absolutely. It's not a good question to start with because you'd be amazed at how many times we see students make simple mistakes on that question, whereas number two is much more straightforward, right? The function is defined by f of x is equal to x plus 3. That's just very easy, y equals mx plus b. Right? Thumbs up if that makes sense. That a word problem, right, that's in standard form of the equations just does not look as good as y equals mx plus b, and they're just looking for the y-intercept. Very straightforward, right? 0, comma b, obviously then the answer is just D for number 2. Does everybody see how quickly you can answer number 2, how that gets you off to a good start without having to overthink question number 1? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to skip question number 3 for right now because I like to get a warm-up. I like to be thinking about math before I start any word problems. When you get a figure question like number 4, that's much easier to answer. It's much easier to visualize than a question that's more likely to get a simple mistake. So let's see here. In the figure below, right triangle is similar to right triangle, meaning that all of the angles are the same. So boom, 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 boom. I like to draw this in where ACB is congruent to ECD, great, and AE is equal to 15. AE is equal to 15, this whole thing. What is the length of CE? Okay, so if this is 3 and this is 6, that's our ratio factor for similar triangles, so that means it's times 2. If this whole thing, right, is 15, that means that this has to be 5 and this has to be 10, right? Because 5 times 2 is 10, 3 times 2 is 6, and that's the definition of similar triangles. Okay, so if AE is 15, then CE must be equal to length of CE must be equal to 10, right? Yeah, D, number 4. Okay, continuing to move on, doing okay on time. Does that make sense, guys? How we're looking at those? It's so much easier to do a figure problem. Number 5, very straightforward. Which of the following is equivalent? Right? It's even easier because we have a plus sign. So just be really careful. All you're doing here for number 5 is combining like terms. Okay, so we get 12x to the 4th plus 6x to the 4th, right? Just combine those. So this is just equal to 18x to the 4th. That's how I like to take care of these, right? Looks like 18x to the 4th. We can add these. Does everybody see we can add? So 18x to the 8th, you don't add the exponents when we're just adding those. So we can eliminate 2 answer choices. Let's move on to minus 5x plus 7x. So minus 5x plus 7x, right? Be careful, it's not minus 5x squared, it's just minus 5x. Let me just confirm that. Yep, so then it's plus 7x, so now we are looking for plus 2x. Here we have plus 25x, here we have plus 2x, the answer is obviously C. Right, when you're looking at these questions, it's not always about just doing the questions in order. It's about where are you going to make the fewest amount of simple mistakes. Number 6 is a very straightforward question on the SAT always. Okay, all they're looking for, when you get a weird equation like this, and then you see in the answer choices that the variable is different, they're just looking for you to obviously rework the equation so that x is by itself. This goes all the way back to just basic algebra, and it's very, very easy steps. So we're going to get y equals x plus w all over z. We're going to multiply by z, so we get yz is equal to x plus w. Whoops, that's not x plus 4, x plus w. Okay, subtract w on both sides, minus w, and we get yz minus w is equal to x. The answer there would be A. Right? Does everybody see the reason why I'm trying to keep this momentum? Yes. Could I answer number 7? Probably. Could I answer number 8? Probably. Right, I think I'm going to be able to do those, but I don't want to get caught up with those right now. So I'm just going to keep moving on. Okay, here we have how many solutions does the given system of equations have? Well, let's see. We get 2x plus 6y is equal to 2. And then on the bottom, we get, let's see, 4x plus 2y is equal to 20. Let's make sure I did that right. Okay, and does that, so guys, whenever you see this situation for number 9, if you get a situation where it's not parallel lines, right? Parallel lines have the same, they would have everything the same except for the constant, or the exact same line, which would be called infinitely many solutions. If you just have two lines like we do here, and you can think about them on a graph, they're just going to intersect at exactly one point, right? If you get a parabola, so you get x squared and just a regular x equation function, they're going to intersect at 2 points because the line's going to intersect the parabola at 2 points. But if you just have two lines that are drawn out like this, it's just going to have one intersection point. Thumbs up, guys, if that all makes sense for number 9. So exactly 1 point there. What is the sum of the solutions to the given equation? So be really careful here, guys. First, we're going to do 2x plus 6, right? The positive version. I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. So this is really the absolute value of 2x plus 6 is equal to 4, right? 2x plus 6 is equal to 4, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Christine, I'll come back to number 9 just to explain it at the end, but I'm just going to keep moving to make sure that, but yeah, just make sure that I highlight that and make sure that I come back to it, just so that I don't run out of time. 2x plus 6 is equal to 4. And then I like to say negative 2x plus 6, right, is equal to negative 4, or is equal to positive 4, rather, is equal to positive 4, sorry. So we have 2x plus 6. We're going to subtract 6 on both sides. 2x is equal to negative 2. So x is equal to negative 1. Be careful, they're looking for the sum of the solutions. Very common, simple mistake. Minus 2x minus 6 is equal to 4. Negative 2x is equal to 10, sorry. So x is equal to negative 5. And the sum of those two equations, right, would be negative 1, negative 5. So the answer would just be A. Number 11. So this is a good example. Number 11 is an extremely straightforward question. It is number 11. If you know how to do number 11, it's going to be easier probably than question number 1. Even so, 11 is a difficult question only because the concept is difficult. But if you know what to do, if you look at number 11 and you say, "Hey, this one's pretty. I know what I'm supposed to do here." It's very easy. When you have a shaded region here, right, of an inequality, you just plug in points that satisfy the equation. So the easiest one, because 0, 0 is within the shaded part, it means that it is a solution to the inequality. So I'm just going to plug in 0, 0 and say, is 0 minus 0 less than negative 3? No, right? Does everybody see that on number 11? 0 minus 0 is not less than or equal to negative 3. Does everybody see that? So the answer cannot be A. So I'm going to move on, right? Is 0 minus 0 greater than negative 3? Yes. For the same reasons that it's not A, it is B. Keep going. Is 0 plus 0 less than 3? Yes, it is. 0 plus 0, right? Because I'm just saying 3 times 0, so it's only going to be 0, right? Is 0 plus 0 greater than 3? No. So now I have those points, right? And now I'm just going to plug in another point. Let's say if I plug in way over here, I'm going to plug in 0.50. Now I get 15, right? 15 minus 0 is greater than or equal to negative 3. That's true. Is 15 plus 0 less than or equal to 3? No, it's not less than, so the answer has to be B. Right? You can see that one all the way through, but it's very, very straightforward if you see that question. I'm going to skip for right now. I'm going to skip number 12. Let's skip number 12, although that one I don't think is going to be that hard when we get to it. I'm going to skip 12 for right now. 13. I'm going to skip 13 for right now. I don't want to do... 14 might be relatively straightforward. The function... Yeah, 14 is really straightforward, right? Anytime we see y-intercept, that's going to be a really straightforward question. You just got to be really careful with what you're plugging in. So f, right, f of 0, when x is 0, what is y, is equal to negative 8 times 6 to the 0 power, right, minus 4. So here we get equals 6 to the 0 power is 1, negative 8 times 1 is negative 8, minus 4, right, is on the outside. So we should see, does everybody see this one, guys? For 14, we should see negative 12. So all we're doing, right, is we're saying x is equal to 0. So what is y? And when we plug in 0 and you have an exponent, right, raised to the 0 power, it should just be negative 12. Pretty straightforward. 15 with the square roots. I'm not going to do 15 yet. I'll have time to come back to those. But so far, by doing this method, right, and it takes some practice, but by doing this method, thumbs up, guys, if we're seeing right? Thumbs up, guys, if we're seeing that every time I do this, I'm only looking at questions that make sense to me, right? I'm only doing questions initially that make sense to me because now I'm only 10 minutes into this. I think I've done probably like of the first 15, maybe I did like 7 of them. And I'm only 10 minutes in, so I have plenty of time when I come back to those other ones because you remember that when you start with the free response, they're easy again, right? The first couple free response questions are level 1 or level 2 questions again. So this should be pretty straightforward, right? Just make sure you don't make a simple mistake. What is the value of 2x? Going back to very basic algebra. I always like to rewrite the problem, right? It just helps me stay focused. Plus 9, 3x is equal to 15. X is equal to 5. Don't forget, right, we're looking for 2x, so 2x is just equal to 10. 10's our answer for this one. Very straightforward, very easy, takes no time. Okay, what is the positive solution to the given equation? Great. Another one that's really straightforward, right? We're going to say x squared minus 9 is equal to 4. We're going to square both sides. Okay, so we get x squared minus 9 is equal to 16. We're going to add 9 on both sides. X squared is equal to 25. So x, the positive solution, right, of x is just 5. Right? Again, if we look at those questions and we only go back to basic algebra, there's nothing to worry about, right? So if we see number 19 now, let's see, 18. Yeah, perpendicular always takes a second. I'm going to go to 19 instead because this one, I saw this one while I was doing 16. It looks very similar, right? If 2 of these, right, 2x over 3 minus 2, 2x over 3 minus 2, be careful, right? Just easy to make a simple mistake here, but should be very straightforward. We're going to add 2 on both sides. We're going to subtract x over 3, so minus x over 3, but they've done all the hard work for us. So now we just have x over 3, right? 2x minus x over 3. X over 3 is equal to, add 2 is equal to 3. So we're going to multiply by 3 over 1 on both sides times 3. X is then equal to 9. But we're looking for 2x. Don't forget, guys, right? Very easy to make that mistake. So 2x is equal to 18. So there's our answer. 2x is equal to 18. Oh, okay. So, guys, I'm going to do number 20 here, right? I'm going to do number 20 because this is actually a very common SAT no-calc question. If you can recognize it, the ratios of circles are actually really straightforward. So watch out for this question. They're very common, especially in the ending of the free response. Thumbs up if you guys have seen a question like this. Thumbs up, guys, if you've seen a question like this one. Points A and B lie on a circle with radius of 4 meters. So just write this out, right? R equals 4. And arc AB has length, right? So it's just a circle with R equals 4. Right, and AB, wherever that is on the point, draw it out if you want to, right? So it's something like that. And the arc, right, length is a certain amount of the percentage of the total length, the total circumference of the circle. So the circumference is here. The length of the arc is 4 pi. So we're looking for the fraction, right? So the total circumference of this circle is just equal to C equals 2 pi r. So the total circumference is just 8 pi, right? 8 pi. And if we're looking for the fraction of that, we're just going to literally say 4 pi over 5, right, over 8. That's the actual fraction if we keep the pi, over 8 pi, sorry. If we keep the pi's in place, that's the like technical fraction of it. Everybody see what I'm doing there? If the length of this right here is 4 pi over 5, then the overall circumference is 8 pi, then the fraction, it looks like that. When we divide, we can also just flip the second number and multiply. So we're going to do that. I'm going to say times, instead of divided by 8 pi, we're going to say 1 over 8 pi. I'm going to cancel those. That gives us a 2. This gives us a 1. And it looks like it's just going to be 1/10. So the fraction, right, of that, right, canceling the 2, the 4 and the 8 pi. Everybody see that? Everybody see that there? Okay. Any questions on that one so far? So I'm going to come back to 18. Again, I know there's a lot of bouncing around in this, but what I'm trying to do is only look at questions. So far, I haven't seen a question that doesn't. And remember, we're going to go back to number 1. I don't think number 1 is going to be hard, but now my brain is thinking about math. Does it take a little skill to do this? Yes, but you'll be amazed that if you practice this way, you'll be amazed at how consistent your score is. You can set a goal for yourself at like, I'm going to get 16 out of 20 every time, and your only thought is, let me go find the 16 easiest questions on the test, and then I can worry about the 4 hardest ones. You don't have to jump around as much as I am, but my thought going into this before the live stream started was, how am I going to find 18 or 19 questions that I 100% know how to do, and then I can worry about all the harder questions. Does that make sense? What the real purpose of this is? So here we have line, be careful, this should be pretty straightforward. The defined line R is perpendicular. So we get 2y plus 4x equals 9. I just skipped this one initially because perpendicular lines, right? It's so easy to make a simple mistake. Minus 4x, 2y equals negative 4x plus 9. Divide by 2, so y equals negative 2x minus whatever, 9 over 2. But we're only looking for the slope because that's the most important thing, right? So the slope is just the opposite reciprocal. So slope is equal to, the slope of the perpendicular line, right, should just be equal to positive 1/2. You just, right, if this is negative 2 over 1 for this slope, you just flip it and make it, and right, they're the opposite, the negative reciprocal. So I think those ones should be good. So now I'm going to go back to the beginning. I've skipped a few questions, but that's okay. I'm going to look at number 1, and hopefully at this point, number 1 is going to be easier than it otherwise would have been if I would have started with this question. Or I should say less likely that I make a simple mistake on this one because I'm actually thinking about math. I have about, like 8.5 minutes left or so it should be okay. I think I've done all the free response. Probably have like 6 or 7 questions left, maybe, something like that. Okay, so a certain university offers courses that are either 3 or 4 credits per course. A student registers for a total of 16 credits for the fall, which equation represents the possible number of 3 credit courses, X, and 4 credit courses. So this one's easier, right? This one's just B. Again, it's not to say that one was going to be hard. When I skipped it initially, it wasn't because I thought it was going to be hard. I know that the early questions are supposed to be easy, but I skipped it because think about how easy it is after reading for an hour and 5 minutes, right? 65-minute reading test, then writing in language, and now you jump into this. How easy is it to miss just one word, right? And now all of a sudden, instead of 3x plus 4y, you go with D, and it's wrong. I'm pretty sure 1 is B, 99% sure, right? So we feel pretty good about that one now that our brains are warmed up a bit. Same thing here, right? Easy to miss a simple word. So we're looking for a particular marketing company from June 2009 to October 2010. According to the model, which of the following is closest to this company's monthly revenue in millions of dollars for June 2009? It looks like it's right here, right? Does everybody see that? How we're looking at, right? We're looking at right there, maybe it looks like it's like at 10. So the closest value for number 3, the closest value in June 2009, because that's when we're starting 0 months after June 2009. So it'd be at the 0 mark. Again, but very easy to make a simple mistake there. Very, very easy. Did we get all the ones with time? Yeah, should be okay on timing, I think. I hope. Get to number 7 here. Okay, so this just looks like a linear equation. Look out for these on the test. They love putting in these really random looking equations, but in reality, this is just y equals mx plus b, right? Just a weird looking y equals mx plus b. And it says, given a linear function, the annual percentage increase in the population X years after 1990, what is the best interpretation of G? So after 20 years, right? After 20 years where X is 20, in this context, what do we get? 20 years after 1990, right? X years, 20 years after 1990. So it's either got to be C or D. Does everybody see that one? But you can see how easy it is to miss this question. The percentage increase in population, and then you was one over the previous year, probably. No, it's over the previous year, right? Because it's the 1.38376 or whatever. That's the per year, right? That was the slope. So I think that one's probably, right, feel pretty good. Any questions on that one? Thumbs up, guys. Again, very easy to miss that question. We have about 5.5 minutes left. I'll try not to talk too much. The quadratic function A, B, and C are constants for the graph of y equals f of x next to the quadratic. Upward. So the quadratic opens upward, which should be the A value. And the coordinates of its vertex are both negative. The coordinates of its vertex are both negative, which means Does that mean anything? So the following must be true. A's got to be, well, A is definitely greater than 0. That's for sure. So, right, because A, if it opens upward, right, the A value here is always what determines the negative or positive. Okay, so it always has to open up. So A's got to be greater than 0. So it's either C or D. And the coordinates of the vertex are both negative. So if this is actually, right, these are the factors. So it's got to shift. If they're both negative, then B has to be less than 0 because that's going to be positive. Yeah, so that shifts it, right? Because if the coordinates of the vertex of the X vertex, right, so that one should be C for number 8. Let's keep going here. What's our time? 4.5. I think we're going to be okay, actually. Did 9, 10, and 11. Feel good about those. I don't think 12 is going to be too hard, hopefully. Let's see. The graph shown models which equation represents the relationship between the height of the ball and time since the volleyball was hit. So because we don't have a calculator, it looks like this point right here, right, the vertex form is just going to be at 0.25, comma 6. So it's just got to be D, right? Is that it? I guess if you know the vertex form, I think that one should be pretty straightforward. Does everybody see that one for number 12? Hopefully I didn't make a simple mistake there. I'm going to keep moving because the time's running low, but if you know vertex form, that should be pretty straightforward. The other way to do that would be plug in the y-intercept 0, 5 and solve. But if you're familiar with vertex form, which is just y equals a times x minus b quantity squared plus c, okay, should be pretty straightforward there. 13, trapezoid A and B shown are similar. The lengths of each side is 8 times the length of corresponding side. Oh, this is very common. Look out for number. This has become very common on the no calculator section. And it is extremely easy if you know what you're doing. If the side length is 8 times greater, right? So let's just say A is equal to 8 when B is equal to 1. You don't need to know, regardless of the shape that they give you, this is becoming a more and more common question. If you're looking for the area, all you need to do is square this term. It doesn't matter, right? Area is squared units, so this is going to be 64. If we square 1, it's going to be still 1. So if we're looking for how many times larger is the area, it's just the squared term. The other thing that they love to do, right, this is area. Does everybody see that? It doesn't matter what the shape is. So you don't have to solve for the shapes of those. If they're looking for area and they give you the side length, you just square the 2 side lengths. In this case, it was 8 times, so I just made 1 8 and one of the lengths 8 and one of the lengths 1. If they ask you for volume, right, how many times greater is the volume? You do the exact same thing, except you cube it, right? So if I'm looking at this, I say 1 cubed, how much greater would the volume be? 8 cubed, what is 64, 256? 512, 512, right? 8 cubed, I think is 512. I think, yeah. And 1 is still 1, so that would be 512 times greater volume. So I think that one should be D. Does that all make sense, guys? Hopefully that does. But very common question. It has become a very common question. So I think that all we have left now is 15. For the first time in forever on these no calculator sections, my time is actually decent. I haven't talked too much, hopefully. These ones have been relatively straightforward. So just be really careful on this one, right? When the exponent is 2/3, it means that it's going to be, the bottom part is going to be the root, the bottom part of the fraction. So this is going to be cubed here. So for the most part, I can say it's not going to be A. And then be really careful because this is going to be the square root of 2q plus the square root of r. And then when we square those two terms, that means that we're going to have the root 2q plus root r times root 2q plus root r. And so with that in mind, because it's plus, it's also not going to be b, right? There is going to be a middle term there. Who's familiar with that? Who remembers that? And now I just have to go about multiplying. It looks like the only difference between D and C is that middle term. So if I multiply these out, I get 2qr plus 2qr. And so, right, does that all make sense? Oh yeah, guys. Yeah, this is supposed to be r squared. Yeah, is this supposed to be r squared here, guys? Sorry, hat trick. I noticed that one. Yeah, the middle term should be. Sorry, that's why I was getting confused. It should when you multiply that out. I think it should be d, right? I think that one should be d if I multiply that out. But guys, yeah, sorry. This is just a bad formatting error. I got confused by that too. This should not be 2r. This should be r squared. No, it should be. No, it should just be. This one should be d, right? Is there? I think this one should be d. But I think this would. Let's see. Square root of r times the square root of r is equal to r. So I think that one should just be r, right? R squared. No, should it be d then? No. Are we? Is this a typo all the way around, guys? It might be c. There's definitely a typo on this form somewhere. 2q, because if we do root r times root r, it's just going to be r. And I don't think it comes out anywhere. So it should just be c. But the typo is, there's a typo here, guys, in the formatting. So it should just be, yeah, because if we multiply this out, it should just be 2qr, right? 2qr plus 2qr would be 2 root 2qr, right? Two of those. Right. It should just be. I think it should be C, but there's some weird formatting, guys. So anyway, that's again, unfortunately, that's just a bad test. Does everybody the thumbs up, guys? Most importantly, on number 15. This is sometimes when you print these out, guys, it's a bad typo. Can everybody just recognize that when you get 2q, the most important thing, I'm confused a little bit too, Christine, because there's a typo here. Okay, raised to the 2/3 power. Yeah, there's some typo here, because it can't be, it's root r times root r. Something's going on. Initially, I thought it was e. In any case, guys, does everybody understand that when you get a squared term, the thing that's most important, not to make this video, okay, not to make this video too complicated, but there's something going on here with the formatting because root r, right, this part right here should just be r, not 2r. The options are all false. I think the answer, I think what they're going for is, I think they just doubled it for some reason. Right, it should be 2q. This is the only correct part of that. But the 2r, so there's some formatting. In any case, guys, I think all the options are false here. In this particular case, it's just a bad formatting error for this test. That can happen if you just find it. So just look out for that. It's actually a good teaching point if you download something. So guys, this is just a result of a bad test form. When it got out from the SAT, it won't have anything. In all the years I've been doing this, there's only been one time when there's been a verified typo on the SAT or the ACT. So that's the only time. And then, yes, they omitted that question. So if that ever happens to you, don't worry. Don't get stuck. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at right now. Is like, let's not talk about 15 too much anymore because there's clearly a formatting error, at the very least with this R and 2R, right? So just be really careful on that. But if you ever get stuck on that on the real test, it's a good teaching moment because don't let that one. If it is an error, they omitted it on the one test that's happened, but it happens so infrequently. So don't feel like there must be an error here. It's so infrequent. We get students all the time that are like, I think something's wrong with this. 99.9% of the time, that's not going to be true. And if it is true, the one time that did happen, they just omitted that question or they gave everybody the correct answer. So everybody got that question right. The point is, though, the reason it's a good teaching moment is because if that happens to you, you got to think 99.9% of the time this test form is going to look correct. And if it's correct, how do I find the right answer, right? And if it's not correct, if you really feel like something's wrong, just know that you're going to get the right answer anyway because they're going to give it to you. Thumbs up, guys, if that makes sense. That's really, really important because, because, again, if that happens, there's nothing you can do about it in the moment. And there are going to be other students that do that. They just move on and say whatever for that question. If I miss it, maybe I didn't understand it, but they get 19 out of 19 on the other 19. and then they get 19 out of 20 in the worst case scenario, but then otherwise it would have been omitted, right? Does that make sense, guys? Don't let it comes back to the whole point of like, don't let one question fool you, right? Don't let one question fool you. Is that cool? Any questions on that? Can everybody give me a thumbs up if that makes sense? So again, we're looking at the 2020 May SAT. If you guys have any questions as we go, I'm happy to answer those. But let me pull up the answers here. Okay. See. Again, if you get just like on the test forms, but you can see that not all test forms are equal, right? It's not all. Some test forms have these little errors, but you can just search for the answers for the given test form that you're looking for. So we're looking at May 2022, May 2022. Okay, scroll down here. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do these ones in red. By the way, this X was from an earlier thing, so let me just erase that so nobody's confused in the future. Okay, so number 1 is B. 2 is D. So B, D, A, D. B, D, A, D is 4. Then C, A, C, C. C, A, C, C. Great. Number 9 is B. 10 is A. 11 is B. 12 is D. 13 is D. 14 is A. 15 is D, but again, if there's definitely some error here. The 2 are. So just know that I said D originally, but just know if that happened. Again, if there's a printing error and it's a true printing error, the one time that happened on the SAT that I've ever heard of, they gave everybody the free point. So if just move on, right? If you can't figure it out from there. Everybody though, if you did this question correctly and you squared the terms, everyone should still have been able to eliminate down to C and D. So regardless of what that answer ends up being, right, or what the error is, everybody should still understand how to eliminate down to C and D and why we did that. So if you don't understand that, please make sure that you ask that question. 16 is 10 up here, right, because it's asking for 2x. 17 is 5. 18 is 1/2. 19 is 18. And 20 is 1/10. Yeah, so again, guys, we'll say 20 out of 20 because we don't know about 15. Again, they'll omit that one for you. I'm not sure why there's an issue there. But what I want to leave you guys with, and hopefully this all makes sense, do you see the value? You don't have to skip around as much as I did there, but do you see the value in why it's so critical to skip? Thumbs up, guys, if that makes sense, or if you have any questions on that. We call it the 3-pass method. There's actually a video on it. We made a video on the 3-pass method and why it's so critical to skip questions on the math section, right? You don't have to skip as often as I did, but every question on math is a rules-based question, particularly on the no calculator section. So if you miss a question or if you don't understand a question on the no calc section, and every question is worth the same value, it does you no good to sit and stare at that question for a while, right? And so that's where this is so critical. And here I'll post this if anybody's interested in kind of diving deeper into the strategy. But SAT 3-pass math method, right? And the idea really, more than anything else, is that you're trying to focus on the questions that you know how to do because you don't get any added points. You don't get any added points for doing a harder question, right? Does that make sense? So we'll stop there, guys. Yeah, so we're gonna make new videos for the ACT after the SAT has passed in August. So we're gonna do 2 weeks kind of SAT work, which is what we're doing right now, and then the August SAT, and then we'll try to do 2 weeks of ACT work in between the August SAT and the September ACT. That'll be the kind of the 2 weeks of ACT work. So hopefully that works for everybody, given kind of equal weight to those 2 weeks of SAT, then 2 weeks of ACT. But yeah, again, hopefully that you guys are able to tune in for the ACT stuff. I think overall, 20 out of, right, this was a pretty straightforward math test. I think that we want to make sure that we're staying focused on this idea of not how you feel right now, right? We get students all the time that sit down and say like, well, I don't need to skip any questions. You have to put yourself, that might be true for a few students, but you have to put yourself into the position of where you're going to be on the real test. when you start the no calculator section, you don't get a break in between writing and language and no calculator. So you're jumping in for 2 hours of verbal, right, reading and writing and language, and then boom, you have to start the math sections. No break. You get a break after the math no calculator section, but before it, you don't have anything. If you start to do a long word problem, even if it's really easy, like number 1 was, their chances of you making a simple mistake are much higher, which is the reason that the skipping idea, why we try to implement it. Again, you don't have to do it as often as I was there, but the idea of moving on from questions that kind of that take away your brain power at the very beginning of the test, that will force you to lose so much confidence, and we don't want that. We want confidence high throughout the entire exam, and that can really, really help. Okay, so just think about it, and again, if you want to check out that 3-pass video, I think it can be really helpful. In any case, guys, again, I want to try to keep these to right around 30 minutes, so I'll leave you guys hopefully with all of that. If you have any questions, follow-up questions while you're watching the recorded version of this, go ahead and pause the video and post those in the comments section. We're happy to answer those. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do so. It's free. If you're interested in joining our membership program, do that. That's $3 a month, and it gives you hundreds of additional hours of ACT and SAT content, video content. So check that out. You can click the join button below if you're interested in that. But otherwise, guys, keep up the hard work. You're doing great. Good luck on your next test, whenever that is, and we will see you soon for the next SAT live stream. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. I'm Chase with Star Tutors, and we will see you soon.